The world is crashing down around us, but still, the board game news must come on this week's June 18th, 2018 edition of our News Roundup. The E3 Electronics Entertainment Expo took place last week in LA. This is a big show for video games that happens every year, if you're one of those people who's not aware. But there were some potential board game tidbits in there, specifically coming from Nintendo, who did in their press conference include a little peek at Carcassonne for Switch, which we talked about before. But bigger news, they also announced a brand new Mario Party title, their long-running Mario board game spin-off series called Super Mario Party. Probably the first home console Mario Party without a number in the title. It looks like they're kind of taking things back to basics a little bit, as well as adding some new twists. They got rid of the car mechanic that has been in recent Mario parties where everyone moved together. You're now all moving separately. Also, everyone has individual dice blocks, whereas before you would all just roll one die the same way. Now, depending on which character you pick, you're going to have different numbers or perhaps other things happen to you like losing coins. And there's a new mode where you don't just follow a set path. You can actually decide which direction you want to go. And of course, there's mini games galore, all kinds of the stuff that you expect from a Mario Party game. We actually have two videos on our channel of us playing two different Mario Party games. So, you know, this is sort of in our wheelhouse. But I was excited for this. I know there was all this E3 buzz about big games that were probably more hype attracting. But I think Mario Party games can be fun, and this looked like a cool, maybe return to form.
You've played a lot more than I have on the Mario Party, so you know, and you seem actually excited for this.
I am.
Which is, I think, a good thing, because I feel like it's been a while since a good Mario Party has come out.
Yeah, I mean, we played the Wii U one, which was okay. It was a kind of fun, but certainly it didn't, it still had some weird things in it that just made it not that exciting.
But there were other little card game things there, as Bethesda's had their Elder Scrolls Legends card game, which I'm sure that is why you were watching their stream for nothing else. That was their big thing.
You want to hear about Legends finally coming to Nintendo Switch? Another Nintendo story.
Right. I will say, though, we're sort of joking around bringing these digital games, and they're sort of board games. But I actually do think, as we move forward, E3 actually will become a bigger thing for people who are board game fans to watch. Not just because the video game and board game industry, I'm a fan of both Fallout and board games. I think we're going to see a lot more of these digital versions of games maybe introduced there, or even weird new digital card games and stuff.
Yeah, you may be right, especially maybe even as VR becomes more of a presence. Board games and VR are starting to be a thing. And in fact, there's going to be more talk about board games into video games in this very episode.
Indeed.
So you can stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for probably inevitably our Super Mario Party review playthrough later this year.
Fantasy Flight has officially announced on their website the Legend of the Five Rings RPG, the core book, the beginner's box, as well as some dice. This is an RPG based in the world of Legend of the Five Rings. In it, you'll be playing as Samurai. You'll create your character with actually a 20 question, which asking things like, obvious things like, what is your schooling? What does that schooling do? What clan are you part of? But could also ask you things that maybe don't directly affect your character's stats and stuff, like how will you die? But that will maybe help you set up your character's sort of persona and getting into the character. And the dice, of course, are these unique dice. They're not just simple like D20s. They have these unique symbols. So from the look of the dice, it reminds me more of the Star Wars RPG, where really you're not really thinking like, okay, if I roll a 17, I get a +2 on top of that. It's more of these weird symbols which might actually require the GM to be more focusing on weaving the story, because Star Wars, you could have there's a triumph die, there's a bad die, which I'm forgetting the name, and hypothetically, you could roll both. So you could get a result that means something, it's in essence getting a critical hit and miss at the same time, which means the person writing the story has to be like, okay, you did just find the ancient super powerful lightsaber, but Vader just showed up.
I hope that happens in this RPG too.
Something like that. So, which is interesting, but it becomes challenging at times if you're maybe going off the cuff as we've seen sometimes.
I've yet to play the Star Wars RPG, or really, I haven't played any RPG with something that isn't just rolling dice, really. But I really like the idea of having the symbols on it as opposed to numbers. I think that's definitely a place you can mine some interesting new stuff from.
No, I do feel you would really enjoy the Star Wars. Well, one, you're a much bigger Star Wars fan than I am, but two, the way it works almost becomes like. It feels more like you're in the movie where like you had some of those hilarious moments or something because of the dice rolls.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And the Legend of the Five Rings looks cool. The 20 questions thing I think is really neat. I think that's a cool mechanic for setting you up and getting you into the mindset of a character. I also really loved the look of, they showed the GM screen. It's like this cool, like Zen-looking art of like a river and mountains. What clan are you going to be a part of?
Well, I don't know how that works too, because my experience with Legend of the Five Rings is all from the new LCG. Like, I didn't really play any of the other stuff, or I believe this actually was re-implemented before, so I'm not fully immersed in the lore. Mm-hmm. So to me, all the clans don't get along. So I'm like, can you be different clans? So that's
a good point. Yeah. You all gotta agree. You have a big fight over which of the 20 clans you're gonna be a part of.
Well, luckily there's only. I think there's 7.
Okay.
No, 8. I think there's 8. I think they didn't include 2 in the. I think there's 6 you can play as, and 2 they didn't include so far yet.
Okay.
So probably a little easier, but also this could be more of a story the way it works, or you could just make it where the clans are sort of okay, but they're like backstab you a little bit.
Because they're not going to make you all pick one clan.
Right. Well, I mean that could depend on your GM, but definitely a cool idea. And I'm sure one of our friends is going to buy it because he's obsessed with cowboys and samurai.
Hell yeah.
So he'll probably take care of that for us. So hopefully you'll get to try it out too in the coming year.
Gale Force 9 has officially announced their brand new Dungeons & Dragons board game titled Vault of Dragons. This ties in directly to the Wizards of the Coast storyline that is about to be revealed throughout 5th edition and other D&D properties, wherein you are looking throughout Waterdeep for a super secret hoard of dragon treasure. And that's what you're doing in this game. You're competing with everybody else. There are going to be locations from Waterdeep, and you are placing people throughout those locations, trying to find information to uncover the location of the treasure before anybody else does. What a lot of people have said from looking at it, what it sounds like, although we don't have specific gameplay details yet, is that it maybe is a retheming or very similar engine take to their Sons of Anarchy board game, which is one that we have yet to play. But it definitely sounds like a cool take on the D&D world that isn't just, fighting off zombies or monsters or whatever with your friends. It's like a game that almost could be any other genre, but just happens to be in the world of Waterdeep, which I think is cool. And Gale Force 9, they usually do a good job. So it looks very Hobbity. The cover looks just like a Smaug on his throne of treasure.
Yeah, Gale Force 9, for one, I feel like every time we've played their game, even for like the WWE game, which neither of us watch, we're like, this was fun. Like,
yeah, right.
They do handle properties very well. I definitely feel, I mean, I probably said this, I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I think Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro in essence, Wizards of the Coast, are really trying to make, not just Magic the Gathering, D&D, they're really trying to like, okay, if we want these properties to really explode outside of the board game world, we need to, like, Waterdeep has to be like, oh yeah, the Eiffel Tower or something like that. Or characters like Jace, the Planeswalkers, like, oh yeah. I'm sure, in fact, I'm betting we're going to see Draxus a lot. Was that his name, the Darka?
Do you mean Drizzt?
Drizzt, wow. Wrong property, I was thinking Marvel. But I think we're going to see like him a lot more. I think that we're going to see those push. I think that's probably why also maybe, we reported it last week, the Netrunner ending. I think they're going to make a whole new site. They're trying to make more of that universe to be expand into movies and television and stuff like that. Yeah. They really want that to grow to the next step, because that's, I think, the next big thing for those kinds of properties, to really get them to grow. Because at this point, Magic's like, yeah, the Magic player's going to buy the cardboard. They love it. But how can we get like the normal person to know, oh boy, I'm excited for Magic, or a movie producer to be like, yeah, we'll pick that up.
Well, we will see how successful Vault of Dragons is at expanding that universe. It's coming out later this year, and we will hopefully get a chance to play it at Gen Con.
Last year, the Unrivaled Tournament was announced, pretty much a tournament for a bunch of different board games that went throughout the year, ending in Las Vegas for the finale. This year, its parent company, Umba, has announced it's having some financial issues and therefore is ending the tournament immediately because they do not believe they'll be able to deliver a full final product that is acceptable to the audience in general. This is amazing because it was only a 1 year difference, and we also learned that supposedly they lost $4 million the previous year and were slated to lose $2 million this year, but hoping that they would continue to grow so much through sponsorship, more people joining in for entry fees, so that they more break even coming years and probably make a profit for years to come. But as we said before, that seems they're having some financial issues and therefore have ended the tournament, and they're seeing if they can do some stuff to make up for it, like Gen Con and Origins and stuff, but so far it seems to be on a bit of a rocky ground.
I mean, 4 million, that's a lot of millions.
Yeah.
That's quite a few millions. I hadn't actually seen any of this tournament, but from what I've read, it sounds like it was really, the money did show, like it was a high production value, and it sounds like they had their hearts in the right place, really trying to make like a real like esports style spectator event for board games, which is cool and admirable, but yeah, it clearly wasn't sustainable, and yeah, it is kind of funny and crazy that literally just 1 year, they only held one, and they immediately realized, oh wait, we can't do this. So I don't know what was their plan. They also mentioned something about software they were going to develop and these other like revenue streams that it sounds like it just didn't
From
come
what
together.
I can tell, they're really hoping their big way to make money was through sponsorships, because they mentioned how they like board gamers are a demographic of like probably more middle-aged and millennial, above average intelligence, so I'm glad I'm not dragging down people too low. And like, so I mean, same thing we've heard from Gen Con. Like we're hearing a lot of sponsorship deals with them, like of some like weird snacks and stuff.
Yeah, it just seems like maybe if it was you know, a League of Legends or Overwatch tournament, that money could be made back, but board games doesn't have the audience yet.
Well, I think that part of it is what you actually said there.
Yeah. What did I say?
You specifically named a game.
Right.
Like I think that's why a Magic tournament, you get all the Magic players.
Right.
You get an Overwatch tournament with a video game. And then the other problem with comparing with a video game is like, oh, their games are the same. No, not really. And I'm not saying just because of the age difference thing, but the demographic that would watch an Overwatch tournament is tech savvy and probably already using like Twitch. I don't know how many board gamers go like, oh boy, let me go to Twitch to watch this board game.
I think 0.
Like Magic the Gathering is the
only. Oh wait, we have a Twitch channel. You should watch it.
I mean, we're gonna see how it does and enjoyable, but I don't think it's like you should expect million like the same way like when Fortnite, when Ninja, I think the guy's name is, like the Fortnite player goes on and he also gets millions of views and stuff. I don't think you're gonna get that from Twitch right now.
No, until we really see board games really go down the rabbit hole of like Seventh Continent or like, you know, these games that feel more like a video game. There's just inherently, I think, board games just aren't as watchable. You know, so unless it's like the competitive scene, like Magic or something, I think that does add a more interesting aspect.
It does, but once again, then when you look at that, one of the problems is unless you're like really into the competitive scene, and sure, you'll watch some things like, oh my God, that guy thought seized himself. That's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Jonathan right now has just heard me say gibberish.
Yeah, I didn't take any of that in.
And when watching Fortnite, even if you don't know Fortnite or football, if you go in the regular sports, you can be like, you still see action on screen. And that's the problem with board games. So unless you're playing something like, I'm trying to think of some more dexterity-based games where you actually see people flicking or going fast, it's a little bit harder. Yeah. Unless you're already part of that sort of the high end who already know all the combos and you want to look at the better game and improving that last 1% of your game.
Of course, D&D is huge on Twitch, but that's again it's like a different category. It's a different thing from competitive board games.
But we'll see what happens with the Unrivaled Tournament.
Some more news from the digital front. Scythe is in early access right now on Steam, so if you want to try the official digital version of Scythe from Asmodee Digital, you can maybe check that out. I think we're actually going to check that out hopefully later this week or next week, maybe give you our thoughts on it. And Asmodee Digital also announced a version of Ticket to Ride for the PS4, continuing their outreach of their digital titles into the console world. What's interesting about this one is that it's part of PlayStation's PlayLink series, which are games that connect to your phone, sort of the way that the Jackbox Party Pack games do, if you're familiar with those. So when you play Ticket to Ride on the PS4 later when it comes out, you're actually going to be able to have it on your TV, but have an individual hand of cards on your smartphone as you play, so you can have hidden information, which is something that we have discussed before as wanting for playing certain games in digital format, is how it's hard to do a pass and play when you can't all look at the screen at the same time because there's secret hands and stuff. And that seems like such a brilliant device, and I'm actually really excited to see that, and if it's successful, maybe branch out into even more games, because it's such a cool thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's certain games that we've mentioned how I don't know how you could do with the pass and play on just one screen. Like this, and that solves it.
Even Ticket to Ride, which you can do pass and play on tablets and stuff, is not. I like forget what I was looking at because you got to pass it around. It's not ideal, you know. So that should be cool.
The winner for the Kinderspiel has been announced. It is Dragon's Breath. I will not try to say the name of the game in its original language. In this game, you'll actually be playing as sort of kid dragons, asking your father dragon to melt a pillar of ice which has lots of pretty gemstones in it. And you'll do so by removing rings and collecting gems and putting these small personal caves. It looks very interesting. Definitely, I mean, this is once again the Kinderspiel, so this is a game meant for a much younger audience. So it's cute, but it has dragons, so I approve.
It looked like cool. It looked cool to look at. It reminded me of, you know, those kids games like the Cootie game or Don't Break the Ice or whatever, where you have like a 3D thing to look at.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I think hopefully the Spiel des Jahres and other award winners will be announced maybe even later this week. I know it's later this month, so maybe next week we'll talk about it.
I'm sure it'll be announced right after we put up this video.
Yeah, probably. Hey, so anyway, that is the news that we have for you this week, isn't it?
Yes, that is all the news.
But before we go, just want to remind you real quick about our Rick and Morty contest that's currently ongoing, which you can find at rollforcrit.com/contest. Win a copy of the Rick and Morty Rick's Must Be Crazy game. You must be crazy not to enter this contest.
There will be a link down below. But until then, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been Roll for Crit News.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more board game content. Every little bit helps.
Please, we gotta eat.